Welcome to Monday's Miracle Moment. I'm Reverend Diane Lunt, and we have sent an inspirational card. I will share that one with you now. Here's the card. And the card says, quite a long quote, this one: consciousness, the level of perception, was the first split introduced into the mind after the separation, making the mind a perceiver rather than a creator. Consciousness is correctly identified as the domain of the ego. So, one more time: consciousness, the level of perception, was the first split introduced into the mind after the separation, making the mind a perceiver rather than a creator. Consciousness is correctly identified as the domain of the ego. Okay, well, this is a little bit uh, difficult in that you have to kind of understand the creation story from A Course in Miracles perspective. So, what the Course in Miracles says is that we were all created from the Creator, from God, and God's attributes are it's whole, it's eternal, it's all loving, and it is creative. And so we are born from that. And so we are that. We can't decide that. That is decided by by our birth. It was our birthright that we were creators as our creator was, because we're the same. We are made in the image of God. That's what that line means, that we are all of that, all that God is. And so we have this immense power. So when we were with God, one with God, the Course says there was this tiny a mad thought that was something like, perhaps there was something other than this, something other than wholeness. And that created a split, a different thought than the oneness. And so that oneness is called the separation. Actually, in scientific terms, I often refer to it as the Big Bang, when everything separated from just being spirit into form and matter as well. Well, there's lots of steps in between going from consciousness into a body being the form. But we are still a creator. But once we separated into that separation thought, the ego was born, and the ego perceives rather than creates. So we have a thought and we project it out into the world, and then we perceive it back. So that's what it means when it says that consciousness, the level of perception. So we became perceivers rather than creators. And so what we really need to do in this time is we really need to get back to the knowledge. God is knowledge. He's not perception. God is knowledge, the knowledge of who we truly are. We are creators, and we are whole and loved and perfect. And when we come into alignment with this knowledge of who we truly are, we can start to live from that creative place and start to create not a nightmare here on the earth, but heaven here on the earth. We bring the heaven here to the earth by the way we perceive. And we can perceive everything as working for the good of the whole, working for our higher good. If we know that, then we will perceive that. And so that's the change that's coming, the change that's coming through this great turbulent time we're having. It's the opportunity to see ourselves as we truly are. We are conscious creators. And when we own that, we can create a happy dream and not a nightmare. Come from love instead of fear. It is our choice, because it all starts here with the thinking. The thinking gets perceived out into the world. It goes out there, and then it's reflected back. So whatever you are seeing in your life is what your thoughts have created. And so if we want to change that, we want to change our thinking. And so that's what we're trying to do with the Course in Miracles, change our thinking. There's 367 lessons on how you can do that. And Dr. Bruce Lipton, who talks about the biology of belief, he says that how we change it is repetition, 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 because in the subconscious is all the programming we had from the world and our cultures and our teachers. And that runs 95% of our life, rather than the conscious creative wish desire part. So anyways, there's a lot to talk about. And if you want to talk about it some more, come to the study group tonight. I'll put the link on the Facebook page. So anyone is welcome. We do discuss these cards in that group that night. So please join us if this intrigues you. I also outline a bit of this in the very last chapter in my book. I think the chapter is called Answers. So that's it for this week. Have a fabulous week. And remember, when you get a chance to choose, choose from love. That's it for this week. Bye for now.